Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be checking out Aliens Fireteam Elite, which is a third-person co-op shooter, kind of in the vein of the Left 4 Dead games that I think we're all very familiar with. This is actually the first Aliens game since Alien Blackout, which was a mobile game released in 2019, and it is a standalone sequel to the original Alien trilogy. One important thing to note though, unlike Alien Isolation, which was sort of a survival horror game, Fireteam Elite definitely focuses much more heavily on action, although there are jump scares here and there and little sections of suspense, but it's definitely much more action focused than something like Alien Isolation. It is set to release on August 24th and is going to run you $40 or $70 for the deluxe edition, which includes a variety of cosmetics along with a shotgun that you can use in game and seasons 1 through 4 of DLC. It is developed by Cold Iron Studios, which was founded in 2015, and this is their first release. However, the team is comprised of developers that worked on games like City of Heroes and Star Trek Online, both MMOs if you're not familiar with those games, and there are aspects of this game where you can tell that a lot of the previous work from these developers comes from MMOs, and I'll point that out as we're going through it. So before we hop right in, I do want to say that Cold Iron Studios did provide me with a key for this game and allowed me to have early access, which is how you guys are seeing this video before the game is out. With that said though, let's hop right into the game. Alright, so here is Alien Fireteam Elite. We'll hop right in. So here's kind of the little hub area. We'll walk around this a little bit more later, but when you're here, you can kind of just hop right into a mission. So this game is comprised of 4 little sections of campaign that are all a little bit different. As you guys can see, I'm about halfway through the game. I've probably played about 4 or 5 hours so far, and then there's this horde mode that I haven't unlocked yet. What we're going to do here first is play the first mission of the game, as I think that gives you a pretty good first impressions, and then we're going to jump into a mission that is further in the game, because the game actually changes a lot at that point as they introduce a new enemy type, and I want to make sure that I show that to you guys. So before we hop into this game, you have the different difficulties here. As you can see, these last 2 difficulties you have to unlock, but other than that, casual, standard, intense, and there are definitely a lot of differences as you can see here. The game is 3-player co-op. As you can see, I'm not playing with anyone, so it's going to fill it with bots. However, once the game is released, I believe there will be matchmaking to queue you up with random people that are also searching for games. There's the challenge card system here, which I'll talk about in a little bit, which is pretty cool, and other than that, you just hop right into the mission. Alright, so here we go in the mission countdown section. Here you can kind of set your loadout, where you can pick one of 4 classes: Gunner, Demolisher, Technician, and Doc. And then there is a 5th class called Recon, which I think I just haven't unlocked yet. So as you can see, for this first mission, we're going to play Gunner. You can see these little numbers here. You do level up the different classes as you play them, which will give you access to new perks and all sorts of goodies. With your loadout here, you can pick your different guns, different abilities that you unlock as you keep going. You unlock different guns as you play through the game, different perks from this perk tree. And then you can also select consumables, which you can either pick up during missions and save, or obviously use, or there is a store in the hub where you can buy more consumables. Other than that, there's the challenge card system, which you unlock out of packs that you can buy from the store, or if you buy the deluxe edition, I'm pretty sure you just get some of these challenge cards. And these allow you to basically put on different modifiers that either make the game harder or more difficult. So something like this here makes your weapons have their fire rate halved, but their damage doubled. You have something like this, which just gives you double health, but has no bonus rewards. This one actually disables aid kits altogether, but gives you double experience. You kind of get the gist. One thing that's kind of cool is if you're playing with 2 other people, you can each select a challenge card. However, it's not going to apply all 3. It'll randomly select one of the 3 challenge cards that you've picked, which I think is a pretty cool system if you're playing with random matchmake players. If you're playing with your friends, however, obviously you guys can just decide whichever card you're going to use and then just don't pick other cards. But let's actually hop into the mission. Alright, so here we go. I am playing the Gunner class, which is the more basic of the classes in this game. So each class has 2 abilities, and then the different classes can use different types of weapons. So for example, the Gunner uses a close combat weapon and a rifle, whereas if you're playing the Demolisher, you get a rifle and then a heavy gun. So my abilities here, I have my Q ability, which makes me shoot faster and have increased reload speed. It also gives the same effect to my teammates, and then my E ability just throws nades at people. The movement in this game is pretty similar to something like Gears of War if you've ever played that. It's third person, you have a dive, you can take take cover, although cover is not super important until later in the game when you're not fighting just the xenomorphs. By default, you spawn into each level with one med kit available, but you can find med kits throughout the level, and you can also find ammo throughout the level. Other than that, you do have this pistol that has infinite ammo, however, it does very, very little damage. You also have your C wheel, which is all your consumables. Like I said, you can come into the mission with 2 different consumables, and then you also pick them up throughout the level, and I'll make sure to show you that. I'm using the burst fire rifle. I think it's one of the stronger rifles, but you will unlock a variety of rifles and other weapons as you play through the campaign. My secondary here is the shotgun that actually comes from the deluxe edition that I talked about at the start, and it's a pretty damn cool shotgun. Basically, the premise of these levels is pretty simple. You go through these pretty linear levels and you do different objectives to basically just get to the end of the level. Here we go, we finally found some enemies. So these are just the basic enemies here. You will fight special enemies also, just like you would in something like Left 4 Dead, but these are just the basic ones. One thing to note is when you're playing on standard or lower, when you are ADS'd, the enemies kind of get a nice little yellow outline around them. You can turn that off. However, if you just play on the higher difficulties, it'll turn that off by default. You can also see this weird X when I kill them. That basically shows that you killed the enemy that you're shooting at. You can also turn that off if you want to. I leave it on because sometimes it can be a little bit vague whether or not the different enemies have died. I just leave it on, although it definitely does kind of look a little bit tacky in my opinion. Oh shit. So here are a couple of the special enemies. Those ones can jump on you, and then you can either get them off you with the quick time event, or your teammates can kind of shoot them off. You'll see this damage bar on the right side. Basically, the kit that I'm using with the gunner class right now is it incentivizes continuous damage. The more damage you do continuously, the more bonus damage you get, and then once you stop dealing damage, it goes away and resets. So it kind of incentivizes you to stay in the fight and kind of keep shooting, as you can see. So like right now I have it fully stacked and I get 20% extra damage, which actually makes a pretty big deal, especially on higher difficulties or when you're shooting the specials and not just the standard enemies. I should note that I'm not a big Alien person. I haven't seen the movies. However, I do have friends that are a bit more into the Alien lore, and they actually said that this game does a pretty good job of being faithful. They kind of felt like it was created by people who cared about that franchise and that lore. There's a lot of little things that'll point you to that if you are a big Alien fan, and so I think you guys will like that if you care. Overall, I think the combat in this game is pretty satisfying, though at times, especially on higher difficulties, where there is team damage, it can get a little hectic and hard, especially because the standard xenomorph enemies kind of are all over the screen. Although overall, I still do find it pretty fun. One thing I've really noticed is on the higher difficulties, you will run out of ammo, although on the lower difficulties, it really isn't ever a problem. You guys can kind of see it there, but the whole gist of it is you just kind of walk through these different corridors and you do the different objectives. Nothing special or out of the ordinary, but I think it's just kind of the fact that you can do this with friends or, you know, co-op with random people online and progress through it. That's pretty fun. Like I talked about earlier, as you complete levels, you do unlock new weapons and new attachments and everything for your guns. So there is kind of a little bit of a progression, looter shooter type system built into this game. So it's not straight up something like Left 4 Dead where you kind of just play mission to mission. There is a bit more of an overarching progression to it. Oh shit. All right, I'm going to use my ability here. So this makes everyone shoot faster like I talked about. That special enemy, he'll jump on people and then he runs away and then he'll keep coming back basically. He tries to get like pot shots in and he'll keep coming back until you finally finish him off. Oh, he got him again. So alpha and beta are the little bot people. They kind of suck if I'm being honest with you. I definitely recommend playing this with people. Although, like I said, when the game releases, I don't think that'll really be as much of an issue. You'll just be able to matchmake with people. I did, though, like I was talking about, play this with some of my buddies to kind of get a gist on how it does play co-op, and it definitely makes it a lot more fun. But at those higher difficulties, it will get a little bit hectic. The burst rifle I'm using, I really like. It's really good for getting that headshot damage. And then if you have a secondary like I do with the shotgun, when the enemies get close to you, you can kind of pull that out and use that to fend them off, as the burst fire rifle isn't as good for close range combat. I haven't been using my abilities a ton, honestly, just because we're playing on a lower difficulty. As you play on the higher difficulties, your abilities become very, very important depending on what class you're playing. I'm going to use my med pack here to heal beta, and then I'll pick up an extra one from over here. You'll kind of hit these little refill stations, is what I like to think of them as. They'll have med kits, they'll have ammo, and they'll also have these crates. So these crates are going to give you consumables. We talked about this earlier. You can either use the consumable during the mission, or you could save it until further missions. So I got a little sentry gun. I'm going to set it up over here because this is a little section where you have to hold them off at this area. So we'll throw the sentry over there. The sentries have a set amount of ammo, and they basically just go until they use all their ammo. And so in an area like this, you basically just have to hold them off until the objective timer basically lets you progress. The yellow outlines with the ADS does definitely make it a lot easier to keep track of the fast moving enemies, but you will have to kind of get used to it without that if you decide to play on those higher difficulties. One thing that's pretty important is you can repeatedly hit these ammo stations. So if you're at one of these sections where you're held up at a section that has the refill ammo, it'll become super vital that you repeatedly hit that, especially on higher difficulties when you will have to put more bullets into enemies and there's more enemies that you're running into. The Demolisher class has a light machine gun that basically has auto aim, but it absolutely melts through ammo. And so in a section like this where you're holding up with the ammo refill right there, it is super strong because you can just spray and pray to your heart's content and then walk back and pick up more ammo as you need. So here's a warrior, which is one of the special enemies. I'm going to use my ability here, throw a nade at him. These are pretty strong. They're really tanky, and they'll jump on people. You basically just have to pour a bunch of rounds into them until they die. This game, although I didn't mention it at the start, is releasing on PC, Xbox One, the Xbox Series consoles, along with PlayStation 4 and 5. So it is cross-gen. I'm not 100% sure if you can play cross-gen or if you can play cross-platform. That I would have to double check. So make sure if you're buying it to do that you guys look into that ahead of time. I'm playing mouse and keyboard. It feels great on mouse and keyboard. The controls are really nice, and the default controls are actually pretty well mapped, and so I've basically just been using the default. The game also runs really well on my 3080 Ti, which obviously is pretty top of the line. The game runs fantastic. I don't know for sure how well it runs on lower graphics cards, but my guess is the fact that it isn't necessarily extremely graphically intense, and the fact that you could just turn the graphics down. I think you should be able to play this on relatively mid-range PCs, maybe even low-range PCs if you're willing to kind of put up with a little bit lower frames or lower resolution or just lower graphics settings. I have everything pretty much set to high right now. These little red things here you can shoot and blow up. You can use them to actually kill a good amount of enemies if you time it well. Oh, there's a spitter. The spitters are super annoying. Let's see if we can... There we go. This ability makes you shoot so fast. It's crazy. You can melt people using this ability. I really enjoy it. As you can see, the roll ability becomes very, very useful as the enemies get close to you, as it's your best way to get away from enemies and then be able to put shots on them. Because if you just stand there and try to shoot them, you will take a lot of damage, pretty much regardless of what type of enemy type is coming at you. Oh, fuck. So you have to be careful just running in as these enemies will just jump on you if you don't kill them first. Luckily, if you have teammates around, they can shoot them off of you pretty easily and you won't take too much damage. So it's not too bad. But yeah, you do want to be careful as you progress through these levels because they will get you. They are in the same general area when you do repeat playthroughs of levels, but they will move around a little bit to try and catch you off guard. Right here, we just hit a crate. However, this was a hidden crate, and you'll get various consumables along with sometimes you can find weapons or perks or skins or decals, all sorts of different stuff that you can find in the hidden crates. They're definitely worth kind of exploring for and finding. They're usually not all that hidden because there isn't a lot of branching paths on these levels. They're pretty straightforward. So usually you can find them without too much of an issue. Your abilities are just on a cooldown, so you do want to make sure you're using them as much as possible, just because you're not using any type of resource other than just a cooldown. You do have to keep in mind, though, there are certain abilities that are very useful for getting you out of sticky situations or when some of the specials pop up. So you want to make sure that if you have those abilities, you are saving them for those moments rather than just spamming them. But with someone like Gunner, while his Q ability is definitely good to lay down big damage on a special with the increased rate of fire, for the most part, you can kind of just pop his stuff off cooldown, although that is somewhat situational. I found some of the other classes' abilities a bit more situation specific, and so that's just something to keep in mind when you're picking the class that you want to play. This is definitely a game that benefits from you and your teammates all playing separate classes, as it'll give you a more well-rounded squad. But if you want, you can just stack multiple of the same class on top of each other, and for the most part, that can kind of work too. This would be one of those areas that would be absolutely amazing to have that LMG I was talking about that can kind of auto aim. Because you can just, oh god, we gotta pop it, we gotta get him, put the damage down. Yeah, these we got him. The warriors are very tanky. They'll come in and grab people and they'll put huge damage down onto you if you aren't able to defeat them. So those are definitely the types of enemies that you want to save abilities for, because otherwise they are going to eat a lot of your shots and take a lot of time to kill. And while you're focusing on them, you do always still have to be careful, because there's just a ton of the regular guys that are always coming in. All right, here we go. Get out of here, guys. Let's go. All right, so that's the first mission. That's basically the gist of the missions in this game. Once you finish the mission, you'll get a variety of different weapons or different attachments for your weapons, and you'll get some of the different resources that you can use in the hub to buy different things. Like I said earlier, we found that hidden cache, so you'll see what I got here. I got a consumable sentry gun, which we use, and then I also got a weapon skin for my weapon, because you can put skins on everything, and then I got another attachment for some of my guns. Here you can see your experience for all your different weapons, as you do unlock additional perks as you level up using specific weapons. So it is beneficial to find a weapon that you like and kind of max it out instead of just constantly switching. Although obviously with a game like this, you can replay missions, so you can just kind of max out and play around with everything as you wish. Here's just a screen that has pretty basic stats: kills, assists, damage dealt, shot accuracy, headshots, damage taken, revives, specials, all that good stuff. And then here's the mission screen where you can decide to just go straight to the next mission, or you can go back to base. I'm going to take us back to base real quick so I can show you guys some stuff here, and then we'll hop into a mission later in the game, because I want to show you when they add that other enemy type, because it does really change the game a lot. So here's the hub. When you're here, you can obviously mess with your loadouts and everything like that. So I do want to show you guys the weapon loadouts so you can kind of see it. So here's my burst rifle that I've upgraded. You can kind of see the combat rating on it. As you change attachments or you take off attachments, it'll change the combat rating. So, and all of these different attachments do different things. So the one I have attached gives me 20% extra weak point damage and range. I could switch it for this one, which only gives weak point damage, but also gives me that perk at the bottom. Or you can do something like this, which has extra stability. It's all kind of what you like. I'm sure there's going to be an optimal setup at some point, but right now I kind of just use whatever I want. Other than that, you have your skins here, like I was showing you. I've been using this metallic red for pretty much everything because I like it. You can put these decals on your gun and you can kind of move around where you want them. I honestly just don't care, so I haven't been doing that. And then at the bottom here, you can see the perks that you unlock as you level up the gun, which can make a big difference as when you stack them all together and you have a 4-star weapon. Here's my second slot. This is my shotgun. This is the one that came from the deluxe edition. You guys saw me using it. It's pretty strong, but as you can see, both your main weapon and your secondary are going to add to your combat rating, which doesn't necessarily gate you from certain areas. You can play on difficulties that suggest a lot higher combat rating. It's kind of just a baseline stat that tells you the rough level of your character based on the perks, the things that you've upgraded, the things that you've unlocked, and all that good stuff. So here's the grid that you get that kind of upgrades your character and personalizes it. As you can see, you unlock additional spots to put different perks that you're getting as you play a class more. I haven't unlocked most of the space on this one because obviously I haven't put enough time into it, but you can kind of see you get these different perks over here that do different things, and then you play sort of pseudo Tetris to make sure they all fit where you want them and everything like that. These big things are your core perks, and then you also have the modifier perks, which will attach to the different abilities based on how you set them, and these will specifically affect the ability that they're attached to. So for example, I have this, which increases the recharge speed of an ability by 20%, and as you can see there, I have it attached to my frag grenade ability. Other than that, you have basic appearances for your character here. You can buy different skins in the shop for these, or possibly you find them in the crates. These are just the choices that I have so far, but you can get different ones, obviously. This is the base appearance. When you're creating a character at the start, you select all this stuff. Here's just the inventory screen where if you want to see everything you have unlocked and not just the things specific to the class that you're playing. And then here's just, you know, your standard settings screen. All right, here in the hub, as you kind of progress from the main mission to main mission, you will have people to talk to here, and I wish that I had one to talk to, because let me see if I can go to the store over here and show you guys what I mean. The way the dialogue works in this game is very MMO-esque. Perfect. So it works just like you would expect out of an MMO, where you kind of just click through and you can click these different options. They really don't do anything. You kind of just click through them pretty quickly if you want. That exact conversation you can just repeatedly have, since he's always here at the store, but you will have specific conversations that pop up as you kind of complete the different campaign levels and you progress, or during a mission, if you find some of the hidden intel, that'll give you a prompt to talk to one of the people back in the hub. Other than that, you can talk to this guy to buy different things. So he has basically two different stores. He has the special stock store, which is all the different cosmetic stuff you might want, and you can also buy additional challenge card packs, or you can go to the regular store, as I like to think of it, and this is where you can buy different weapons, or you can also buy attachments for your gun, or you can buy perks, or you can buy the one-time consumables, maybe if you're stuck on a mission, or if you want to go into a mission with a certain setup. You unlock the currency for this stuff as you play through the game. You definitely get a lot more of the regular currency, obviously, than the currency for the cosmetics. There isn't any way for me to buy this in game currently, but I'm going to guess once the game comes out, you can probably buy this currency with real life money to buy extra cosmetics. That would just be my guess, because, you know, it's modern gaming. But like I said, I can't buy that right now, so I'm not even sure how much it would cost. That's pretty much it for the hub, other than if I was playing co-op with friends, you would see your friends running around the hub with you. You can kind of fuck around and jump around and all that good stuff. Here's another good way to show you guys the dialogue. Basically, you can kind of get all sorts of different lore and exposition, but when you have one of these that you have to do, you can also just click through it really fast. I will be honest, I've been doing that. It's very, very MMO-esque in my opinion. Like I said, that was the thing where at the intro I said there are parts of this game where you can tell that the developers come from an MMO background. That's the main thing I'm talking about when I mention that. Why don't we jump into one last mission? I'm going to switch classes before we hop in, and I'll kind of go over what this class does a little bit, and then we'll show you the last mission and we'll get out of here. So I'm going to swap over to the Demolisher class. This is the other class I've spent some time playing. I haven't really played the Technician or the Doc. So the Demolisher is going to have a rifle class weapon and a heavy class weapon. This smart gun is the LMG I was telling you guys about that has the auto aim, so I'm going to make sure to show you that. And yeah, let's hop right in. Oh, there's also emotes. I haven't even set these because I just don't care. So we're going to hop into a mission that's a bit later in the game now, so I can show you guys this. All right, so here we go. In this mission, I'll show you guys my abilities real quick before we get into combat. So I have my Q ability, which shoots missiles at people, and then I have my E ability, which is very, very strong, and that sort of stumbles any enemies that are within that zone. Unlike the Gunner class, which kind of gains additional damage just by shooting people, the Demolisher is a bit more ability focused. So he gets stacks for his damage by using abilities, and then you also get additional stacks for every enemy that you hit. So if you use something like your Blast Wave and you hit a lot of enemies, you're going to get a big boost in damage when you're trying to finish off those enemies that you've kind of concussed. So I have the two weapons here. I just have the burst fire rifle that I had last time, and then I also have this really cool LMG that I'm going to show you guys.
Heads up, Xenos forward.
All right, so here you go. So this has auto aim. You just kind of aim in the general direction and it does the rest for you. It is fantastic for killing the regular enemies. It's a lot less effective on specials, but the big downside is you burn through the ammo real fast. This is what I was talking about earlier, where if you're in those zones that have the ammo refills, you can go to town with this thing and really put in work. Overall, it's just a really fun weapon to use because you kind of just feel like a badass as you just mow down all these enemies without even necessarily having to aim or let off the trigger. It definitely is a fun weapon to use. I enjoy it, especially if you combo it by using some of your abilities and you get those stacks. You really can just absolutely mow down entire hordes of enemies. I like to save the concuss ability to get me out of a jam, But you can use it aggressively, go in, hit it on a bunch of people, and use the extra stacks to do damage. I usually save it for when I get overrun or I have enemies that pop up behind me I didn't see. I'll concuss them and it kind of gets me out of a jam. Or anytime there's a big special, it's really good to concuss them because it makes it a lot easier to kill them. But you can use it in different ways. It's kind of how you want to do it. Here's a little prowler kind of hiding. Sometimes the prowlers don't hide the best. Sometimes they catch you off guard. I'll show you guys the pistol a little bit just because I haven't yet. It's bad, but it does have unlimited ammo, so if you are completely out of ammo, this will be what you will use to get out of a jam. I'm gonna concuss this guy real quick. There you go. See, then you can kind of get some free shots on him. If I was using something other than the pistol, I would have gotten a free kill there. All right, here's one of those areas that I was talking about that's a lot of fun. So we have the refill ammo station here, and we're going to basically have to hold here for a little bit. So I'm going to go to town with this and kind of show you guys. And this is just how you do it. See, as you can see right there, I'm shooting the special, and it just doesn't do that much damage to the specials. It's a lot better to just mow down the standard enemies with this gun than it is to target the specials. Although, obviously, I mean, if there's a special out there, you're going to have to shoot it. You can't just completely ignore it. But its specialty is definitely mowing down the hordes, and then you can use your other gun or your abilities to kind of take out the specials. Oh, we're getting shit on. I don't know why I just used that. Oh, we're low on ammo. Hit the refill.
Got an update, Esther? Quantum encryption. Very
Oh, there's a spitter. Oh, we're going to swap weapons here and kill the spitter. There we go. See, the big difference is your regular weapons, you can get headshot damage, and this gun doesn't have headshot damage. So you can kill those specials a lot quicker, obviously, if you shoot them in the head. Ah! Oh, here's a perfect opportunity. So I like to use that ability when stuff jumps up behind me. There was only one enemy there. I didn't really need to use it, but you kind of get the premise where if I get overrun from behind by a lot of people, that's when I really like to use it. I did get mines we can set here. I'll set one. Although I don't even know if they push from that side very much. We'll set one over here too. Oh shit, that's the fucking warrior. Hold on, I'm gonna go stun him. You can use your missiles while shooting, so that's definitely very strong. Oh shit. Get him away from me. Get him away from me. Oh, he's going down. Oh my god. Whew, that was close. There is a whole ton of wait for arbitrary things to open and shoot a lot of enemies in this game. You will run into this a whole ton. That honestly might be one of the downsides of this game if I really had any, and that's just that the objectives can be very, very repetitive and samey. But I mean, with this style of game, I really don't know if there's a lot of variety to even be had there. I think that's just kind of par for the course. Maybe they could have done a little bit more variety with it, but overall I think what they've done, it seems fun enough. I mean, you'll have different types of enemies and everything kind of coming at you as you hold in these areas. And obviously it makes a huge difference whether or not you're holding at an area that has an ammo station or not. That makes a big difference on kind of how you want to play it and everything like that. I'm actually pretty low. I'm going to use a aid kit. Look at that. All right, so here is kind of where you're introduced to the new enemy type. These are the synths. So the synths and the Xenos do fight each other, but the synths are more of, you know, your standard humanoid type enemy that you would see in most games, where they have guns and they act more like humans, as opposed to the Xenos, which are definitely more unique to this game, and in this specific game, act more like the standard zombie. The synths really change up the game because now you're not just fighting the Xenos. And so that's why I wanted to hop forward to this level, because this is really where kind of the flow of combat changes a lot. And then through the rest of the game, they'll kind of change up the pace where you'll have missions that are focused more on synths, more on Xenos, combos. You'll fight different types of synths and everything like that. But as you can see, the way that you fight the synths is completely different than the Xenos. Against the synths, taking cover is actually useful. You'll want to focus a lot more on headshots. Their movement is a lot more predictable and slow. and everything like that. Against the synths, the LMG is definitely a lot less useful, just like it isn't as useful against the specials. So it is pretty useful if you're going to play the Demolisher class against the synths. Usually I just pull out my regular rifle so I can headshot them, but obviously if you have a ton coming in, you know, it doesn't hurt to use the auto aim against them. The Wardens are basically just a tankier synth. There's also a sniper synth, and I'm sure there's more synth that you run into later in the game too. I have something next to me. Alright, with there guys, I'll kind of wrap up the video. Is Aliens Fireteam Elite worth a pickup? And that's where I kind of don't know what to tell you. For $40, that is a bit of a premium these days with so many things that are free or really cheap. But the game is really fun. I really enjoy the combat loop. I like the progression. I definitely enjoy the challenge system in this game way more than the card system from Back 4 Blood, which is another game that will be coming out later this year that is in the same genre as this. Also, Back 4 Blood is asking for $60. Content-wise, I mean, I think Back 4 Blood at launch might have a little bit more. I mean, they're both going to have, you know, your standard campaign. And then Back 4 Blood also has the versus mode, which this game doesn't have. That'll be a bit different. I haven't got to try the horde mode yet, so once I try that, maybe my opinion will change. Although I imagine someone like me, I'm probably not going to get a lot of play out of a horde mode. It usually isn't my style, but I do think this game is a lot of fun. For $40, it's probably worth it. I would say check it out if this is a style of game that you like, especially since, you know, we really haven't gotten that good Left 4 Dead style game in quite some time, and toward the end of this year we might get 2 of them if Back 4 Blood also ends up pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, all the good places, and I'll see you all next time.